On this episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast, we got the monthly visit with Cory G. And since it's Flex Friday,
yes, sir,
and we're all about solutions, I figure we might as well just make this a superset solution kind of day.
All right, cool.
So, G, let's start off with the industry in general, blue collar industry, construction industry, and I think one of the biggest issues, if not the single biggest issue, is hydration.
Yeah.
So hydration, especially in the summertime, we've had, heat stroke, guys getting sick, overwhelmed with, being dehydrated. Part of it is habit. Part of it is also drinking too much booze at night.
Yeah, for sure.
So a couple things I used to always do. I've always put aminos in water.
Yep.
But for a long time, I would buy a gallon jug of water from the gas station and then put it on ice and then not carry anything with me. Mm-hmm. The old timers used to actually have like a big gallon jug of ice water. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But then it
like the igloos.
Yeah, the igloos
yeah.
and the big red, in white containers, but it went away. I have carried this jug right here, and I actually I had to get it out just for the audience to see because this thing is beat to holy hell. It's actually physically been ran over with a bulldozer.
Amazing.
So I still carry this thing to this day. Probably had it, 5, 6, 7 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that jug costs, maybe a whole $30. That's a week's worth of water. So just think about that from just a basic concept. Hydration, taken care of. And then $30 in, buying gallons of water, which was a week or two. Mm-hmm. And that's paid for. So the compound effect financially,
just
is
that.
huge. Just that. So it's huge. We talk about, in the last episode, we talked about stopping at the gas station, getting your, ho-hos and your Mountain Dew, whatever. So financially, that's a big win.
Huge win.
And it is a huge, if not the biggest win as far as hydration in the workplace. So touch on amino recovery with Max and the benefit of being hydrated compared to, dehydration and what it can have.
I'll just explain the whole lifestyle that I watched between the sawmill and the coal mine both, right? And it's most guys do drink alcohol more often, which dehydrates you. Most guys drink coffee in the morning, which dehydrates you. Most guys use nicotine also, which dehydrates you. And by the way, I'm not pointing fingers because I did all of those things too. So I'm not that guy, you know what I mean? I'm just letting you know. I was the guy that also would have a few beers, get up in the morning, drink the motor oil, coffee, have a fucking Marlboro Red, and then go underground. So I get it, right? On top of that, drinking less water, you're already putting yourself in a deficient kind of spot. And yes, you're right. Like 20 years ago or 30 years ago now, when I was underground, the fucking guys all had those white coolers. They were all drinking ice water. So they were doing a pretty good job of that. Probably because they felt like ass.
Well, not only that, but even like having a gallon jug at the gas station probably wasn't realistic then.
No, it just, I don't know. It just, it wasn't, I never saw a lot of that. Or, there was some distilled water around from the batteries. And so guys would snag that from time to time, but also that doesn't have anything in it, right? It's terrible for you. But so if you're kind of following that pattern and then on top of it, not like planning your food at all. And I'm not even talking about eating like us.
Right.
I'm just talking about not eating
pack
from the
lunch.
fucking gas station. Yes, just pack a lunch. Purely pack a lunch. So just with a couple items in the right direction of trying to have boundaries around your booze. I'm not saying don't drink. I'm just saying, like, if you just go work an 18-hour shift and I know you want a beer when you get home, but you got another 15 the next day, I would highly recommend probably not drinking that beer because you're already so damn tired, right? A lot of people think it's the opposite. There's a lot of studies that have been shown, and even in my own like tracking, you feel like you sleep better on alcohol, but you actually don't.
No, spikes your blood sugar, right?
Yeah, and you don't sleep as deep. Even though you feel like, oh, I'm tired, I passed out. It might help you go to sleep, but it doesn't mean the quality of sleep is there.
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit unconventional thought compared to what most people think that operate that way. But the reality is, whether you're, got a jug like yours or you're buying a jug every day, the other thing is energy drinks on top of it. So guys are drinking coffee, guys are drinking energy drinks. So everything that you're doing is contributing to taking water out of the muscle.
So you take a 12 ounce pop. I mean, you're essentially taking double that probably out in what would be hydration, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So I always hear this, and it absolutely blows my mind. Well, water don't have any flavor.
So?
That's what I always say too.
Yeah.
what's
So
your point?
let me shout out to all the blue collar dudes that are super tough. That's the most
absolutely.
pussy ass thing to ever say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So like when people say that shit to me, or eating that's boring. Okay.
Success is not boring.
No, it's
Feeling
just
good, looking
feeling
good
good
is
is
not-
yeah,
it's
feeling
not
good is
boring.
worth it though, you
Yes.
know. So it's like I don't know, there's a couple things that the water has no taste. Well, you can get aminos or you can get company things, you know, other companies that just have which we're
You can
creating
get,
now.
like, Gatorade packs and
yeah, of
stuff like
course.
that, but-
So there's ways to make it taste better
Right.
if that's your real hang up.
Right.
But the reality is you got to know that like I forget the percentage, but like 90% of your body's water or some shit like
Right.
that. You need to have water in the muscle tissue to feel good, whether you lift weights or not.
So let's talk about, you know, not only the hydration part of it, how you feel mentally. So I know for a fact, almost every Tuesday night I end up working. I'm at the office later. I might drink 2 gallons of water with aminos in it that day, but still by the end of the day, I'm probably somewhat dehydrated because I've just been go. So even myself on Wednesday, before I go get my weekly massage, I wake up and I know right away.
Yep.
I know it more because I'm more aware of it now. But you think of a guy that constantly feels that way and how bad he feels. Whenever you do not have hydration, you know, your body's not hydrated, what happens? Your muscles cramp up, you get fatigue.
Everything hurts. Your joints feel rickety. They hurt more. Your inflammation, it just seems like it's even more exposed because now the tissue's drier. Like, just think about it like this. Everyone's tied one on where they got super hammered. The next day, like every injury you had from high school football,
you feel it.
You feel it more. Yeah. That's exactly what you're doing to yourself on a regular basis. That's the easiest way. And I understand that, look, I'm a trainer for a living, so I understand my body awareness is going to be different. But that's the signs of that you are dehydrated, that everything's kind of creaking and rickety. It means your tissues aren't very pliable.
Right.
And so if you stay, and then that's also how you can contribute to getting hurt at work more often.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, I
with
figured
the
that.
injury
Safety,
part.
right? The
So,
injuries.
Yeah, the injuries, but also what? Posture. What happens to your posture when you're fatigued?
Yeah.
You slouch over.
Everything, yeah.
So hamstrings and glutes are more than likely
Upper
deactivated
back.
anyways because we sit down so much. But then upper back, forward shoulder, you know, comes into place. Neck.
Yeah.
You got a hard hat on. You got, you know, the neck problems. It is a compounding nightmare. And I've even had my own issues where I would go get adjusted or worked on and my neck was, you know, I sat at a computer for 6 hours straight last night, you know, sitting at the desk, and I'm aware of it.
Sure. You're actually trying to handle it, and you still, and it still hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and even like a few weeks ago, we go out to the island and I'm on that piece of equipment for 3 hours straight or whatever it was, right?
Yeah, you haven't done
It
that
is,
in a while.
I mean, back and forth, rocking all over the place. I felt it the next day.
For sure.
So not being aware of it, think about the compound effect of how bad you feel, which stems to 45, 50-year-old looking like he's 90.
Yeah.
Having
And feeling
a body
like he's 90.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me is hydration. I've been carrying a water jug of some sort around since high school. Mm-hmm. So the hydration part for me is probably the biggest and simplest thing as far as creating a different lifestyle.
It's been a habit of mine for a really long time. And the days, for some reason, where I don't carry a jug, I feel dramatically different 24 hours later because it's out of sight, out of mind. At the end of the day, if you see that, you're going to drink it all. Mm-hmm. And if you don't see it, you're probably not. Right. It's really that simple. And so, you know, whether it tastes good, tastes bad, whatever, it's necessary.
And if, you know, it is the most soft thing. I'm gonna say that again. Blue collar dudes are some of the toughest humans I've ever met.
For sure.
But to tell me that, well, water don't have any flavor.
Well, you want to drink Mountain Dew? I don't get it.
Like it doesn't get any more soft than that.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty bad.
If that's where you're at and you're at that softness level,
I'll sell you some aminos then.
So honestly, like think about this. So every blue collar dude either like sweet tea or lemonade, right?
We got it, man. Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
so think about this: you could drink something that
a gallon of sweet tea a day,
a gallon of sweet tea, but they're amino acids, so they have broken down, you know, components of proteins that can help you with recovery. On top of that, you've got your hydration component, and so that's why, and no sugar, and that's why. But you know, it has the fake sugar, so it still tastes good. So the reality is, you start to find a strategy that's contributing to you feeling better. There's a lot of people that use the amino recovery for like a hangover situation. It really does make you feel good.
I've actually mixed it with vodka before.
Yeah,
so it's
or
good
to try to make sure it doesn't happen. So I think it's one of those things where you need to be aware of it. I think part of this podcast is to make guys aware
Awareness.
that maybe this is why I'm feeling not so good. I might only be having like one beer per night, but I'm also drinking all that caffeine during the day, and my body's probably just not operating right. And so it's going to feel weird to change stuff. It's easier to just stay the same and deal with it because you guys are tough. Right. It's just what it is, right? I watched dudes that I knew they felt terrible, but they're just fucking tough dudes.
You feel terrible for them because you see how they move and how they operate.
Mild changes could make them feel dramatically better. Because look, at the end of the day, everybody's providing for their family. They're working a ton of hours. They're trying to show value. The job site shit is hard. Don't make it harder on yourself on top of that.
And these things are so easy.
They're very easy.
They're simple and easy.
They are.
There's some things that are very simple, they're hard. This is not that case. This is easy.
No, correct.
And
I would agree with that.
So tell me one negative of it. You stay hydrated. You save money. You feel better, move better, look better. I mean, just think of the aging component with not being hydrated.
Well, the
like
guys
the skin
the skin is definitely more pliable. Your body feels better. Your body can recover better. It's not gonna be as inflamed or age as fast. It's all of those things. And so you need to really think, if I don't feel good and this hurts and that hurts, most of the world is half dehydrated all the time, I would say.
Yeah.
So this is like a major thing that I knew I couldn't, because I've always treated myself like an athlete, as have you, right? And so I think we look at things quite different. Like, I'm looking at that my morning workout performance is important to me, even though but you have to look at, you're essentially working out as a blue collar dude almost all day long.
Right.
And so you have to look at that as like, that's your performance.
That's it.
And if your performance is going down, you're getting injured more often, you're feeling like total ass, you have to address, why is that 100%. Happening?
So I think this is the one component that so many people don't realize.
Yeah.
I'm drinking my Mountain Dew. I'm having my donuts. I'm doing all this hard work, extra effort for what? To support your family. What happens when you break your leg, you blow your knee out, you blow a back injury is probably the most common.
Oh, for sure.
What happens when you hurt your back because of that compound effect of bad habits?
Yeah.
You can't support your family anymore.
No.
I've seen it time and time again. People get hurt, FMLA, they weren't financially competent to begin with, so they can't work for 12 weeks. They're in deep, deep trouble, right?
For sure.
So why would you not just take one little small step?
Yeah,
and like you kind of touched on earlier, blue collar dudes work hard all day. For sure. If you're not going to wake up and work out, whatever.
I get that 100%.
Right.
But
hard. You're essentially working out to some degree all day.
No question.
Why would you not prepare yourself like an athlete, like you said?
Yeah, I don't even know if I've ever like really said it that way before, but that's really what it is, right? And I think because some of the blue collar guys we've had at the gym, they look like fucking athletes, right? Like Tyler, and it's like one of those things where he treated himself that way, so he was able to do more on the job site, especially as a laborer. And so if I think about, like, that's kind of how I operated too. So I could work a lot of dudes that are around me into the fucking ground. Well, we were already underground, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like, if you look at yourself, here's the other thing is, and this kind of popped in, well, I worked really hard, so I deserve that beer, deserve that donut, deserve that whatever. I think that the deserve part, the hard work part, 100% is true. The deserve part, I would try to be nicer to yourself. Because those things aren't really contributing to you feeling better, so you can work more overtime, provide. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I never want to sound like a dick, because the reality is it's more of like, I think, an education around like those things are not contributing, and they're really, you think you're deserving and you're rewarding yourself. You're actually hurting yourself. Yes. Now, is there a point? Friday's over, you clocked out, time to hit the bar. Fuck yeah.
So go to Cory G Fitness real quick and just talk about that part of it where you've realized Monday through Friday, I can't go do this shit during the week because I got to perform at an optimal level. Wake up at 3 o'clock, go to bed whenever you go to bed. If it's 9 o'clock, that's a good night. If it's midnight, you got to wake up in 3 hours, right?
For sure, yeah.
So waking up is not an emotional response. It is, you wake up when your alarm goes off and you go do what you have to do. Yep. And I bet you feel the same way that I do. 90% of the time, you don't feel like getting out of bed, but it's not an emotional response. But talk
but
about,
neither is your job.
Right.
I mean, and I learned this 100%. Early morning stuff because that's when my stepdad got up to go to the mine.
Right.
And it sucked ass. Yeah. But he didn't like decide. He just had to do it.
That's what you have to do, right? So that ties in directly to how we live our lifestyle, waking up early, to blue collar. Most blue collar dudes are waking up. You know, I would say the latest that anyone that works at R&R Pipeline sleeps in is 5:30 to 6.
Yeah.
It works in the field. So talk about the strategy and the lifestyle that you came up with on Friday night, Saturday, and then regrouping on Sunday. I think is probably the most important component of that.
It is. Yeah, I think the reality is that although I think my discipline is at probably an outlier level to most, the reality is it like really mimics a lot of how I was forced to operate when I had the job underground. I got up super early. I was required to work at a high level all day long, and then I was smoked at night. Now, I didn't drink a lot during that point in time, but as I got older and kind of kept a similar schedule and realized that my success in my new job, which would be personal training and supplements and whatnot, it was the same schedule was contributing to a lot of success. I started thinking, well, but I want to go out with my friends. I want to go out with my wife. I want to do all these things. I just need to compartmentalize them so that it doesn't take down my success during the week.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Friday night, Saturday night,
Enjoy yourself.
Because you did earn it / deserve it, however you want to say it.
What's Arnold say about a little bit of dysfunction?
Yeah, you're allowed to have a little bit of dysfunction with all the discipline. And so the discipline is that you have to get up and go bust your ass all day at work, that you got to put the pipe in the ground. Like that is the discipline.
Yeah.
That is the requirement. And then, yes, you did earn something else over the weekend. I'm a big believer in it. I operate that way. So it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think regrouping on Sunday is really important because you got to get ready for work on Monday. So yeah, Friday, Saturday, you should enjoy yourself.
That Sunday fun day of
it
beer,
is.
chicken
It's
wings.
hard because of the NFL, and I get it. And some guys will trade Friday for it, but still, it's not the same because when you're getting up for Monday, you're just going to be more of a fog if you just still.
I think the hydration part on Sunday is the most important.
Yeah.
If you want to, whatever on some meals, that would be one thing.
Yeah.
But man, going into Monday dehydrated, you're done for the week because you don't catch up from that. Whenever you start Monday morning, then that state of hydration is really what sets the week.
So this last weekend, I got super hammered on Friday.
I was going to bring it up.
Yeah. I got super hammered on Friday, and I drank like, for me, this is a lot. I drank 4 bourbons, basically 2 double pours, and then fucking like 3 beers. But I didn't eat enough food, and I woke up super dehydrated. Every injury I've had from every sport, including powerlifting, hurt the next day. Ohio State, Notre Dame game, amazing game. I didn't even drink 1 beer just because I felt so shitty. Right. All I did was just get back hydrated. Yeah. Sunday, I got my shit together. Monday, I had a good lifting day, and I think I performed well. So it's like, to recognize that is important to have more body awareness. Yeah. But once you start taking your hydration serious, you'll start to pick up on it.
Right.
When you're already in a dehydrated state most of the time, that's your norm.
If you always feel bad, then you don't know any different. So not knowing what good feels like, once you start feeling good in just certain little areas, then you're like, wow, this is different. Yeah. I do feel different. My sleep is better. Yeah. I am hydrated. My skin's not all wrinkly and flaky, and like my gut health feels better.
Yeah. All that.
Simple little things.
Yeah.
Gut health is one that we can talk just a couple sentences on, but hydration and gut health.
Yeah.
Digesting food.
It changed a lot. The problem is that the diet stuff is always going to be a problem, right? Because it is for everybody. And sometimes it's like people just don't really know. And other times it is they just don't want to know.
Or have the mental fortitude to do it.
They just don't care. Yeah. And I understand that. But I think where you started out from a hydration standpoint is really smart because you're going to feel that. I think it's 2 things. I used to talk to a lot of the guys I worked with back in the day because I would go home and lift whenever it was still, wasn't too late or whatever. And they were like, well, fuck, I don't need to lift because I lift all day. That is true. That's still your job, right? And that is way more activity than somebody just taking a stroll down the street. But, actually physically lifting to make your legs stronger, your back stronger, whatever, it's different. It's not just activity. It's not work. So it's like, once you start to go down that path of, I'm going to try to be hydrated, I'm going to try to strengthen a few things, or even if you're like just walking on a regular basis because you're fucking, you need to lose a few pounds, you will feel a ton better. It doesn't take a big dramatic. You don't got to look like Jake tomorrow. Like, you're not going to want to follow the exact plan. A lot of people just don't want to do that. But if you start with hydration and then you start with some type of movement outside of work, even if it's walk a mile with your old lady at night, like something.
Even mobility, just movement. Because I mean, I know in the blue collar world, lower back injuries are massive.
Huge. Yeah.
You're either sitting in equipment all day, you're in the truck, running a shovel. That's a lot of that's lower back, posterior chain work. Not staying hydrated, massive issue.
Yeah.
But when people, I have had, obviously not nearly as many as you, but a handful of people come to me and just ask where to start at.
Yeah.
The first thing I say is don't drink your calories. If you want to drink black coffee, whatever, but you better double it or triple in water, and then on top of what you should consume anyways, right? So don't drink your calories as the first step, and then the second step, as far as the training, if they're not training at all, I say move.
Yeah.
Treadmill and mobility.
Just
and
walking
and mobility, and that's it. People that, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 6 months, okay? They start running, which is the absolute worst thing you can do. You're already overweight, so it's hard on all your joints and everything. You're probably not hydrated, and you're probably weak.
You're not going to be able to keep it up.
No.
You gotta do baby steps, man. Like, it's just like, it's more about just stringing it together. Like, just see if you can carry a gallon jug of water for a month.
Right.
I mean,
little wins though.
Little wins are huge.
And people, look down on them little wins, like, that gallon jug, why you carry? I carry it everywhere.
Yeah.
It's on my desk at the office. I don't care who's coming in. It's like a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have that, I know how I'm going to feel. Right. 100%. And I don't want to feel that way because I know what feeling good's like. I don't want to feel like shit.
Not drinking your calories is funny because I don't even think I've even thought about that in so long because I haven't operated like that in so many years.
It's crazy to see how people consume 500
I kind of forgot that was a thing.
500 calories
and tons
100
of
grams of sugar and one coffee. I wasn't really aware of it until I would look at what someone's drinking and actually look up the calorie intake. And I'm drinking one cup of coffee today. Okay, well, what are you putting in it? And then I would find out. I'm like, that's 60 grams of sugar. You have nothing in your stomach.
Your insulin just went to 1 million.
Your insulin went up with nothing in your stomach, and coffee is probably going to tear your gut up.
Oh, yeah, man.
So not only are you spiking your insulin, you're probably going to be sitting on the pot for a 20-minute session, first thing in the morning, and then need a nap.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to perform that way.
Yeah,
not going to happen.
You literally can't perform that way. It's funny because I think I'm so outside of that. I haven't even. Yeah, because I don't really look to drink anything. I drink water, aminos, and beer.
Yeah.
I don't really drink anything else.
Right.
So if I'm drinking to stay hydrated or perform. And when I'm drinking for fun, I'm drinking for fun. Yeah. I don't really have an in-between because I don't really need satisfaction of a pop or even a diet pop. I will drink it like a Diet Dr. Pepper every now and again or something.
Yeah,
but the reality is I think it's just shifting. I honestly think some of it is just they don't know how it's impacting their body.
Yeah,
Jake.
So I want to go into understanding insulin. Mm-hmm. Obviously we talk about this at a very complex level, but at a base level, understanding fat, protein, and then carbohydrates and the impact they have on your body. So fat and protein are essential for living. Nothing else is, right? So. Well, you don't have to have carbohydrates to survive.
You can live without carbohydrates. I mean, there's so many conflicting things on how people's bodies operate. And also most people that are overweight have plenty of storage. So they don't necessarily need to be eating a ton of carbohydrates. But also I think it's just the quality of carbohydrates.
Right.
There's a few carbohydrates that our body can live on really well. And I think that
a loaf of bread is not going to sit well.
That is not one of them.
Yeah.
There was this thing I saw a long time ago about I'm pretty sure it was the Egyptians pre-yeast and post-yeast, and then pre-yeast all the mummies didn't have any cavities, and post-yeast they all did. It's just the sugar breaks down and it eats you up. And so the thing is you want your insulin, which is your sugar level. So when you eat things, your body has to kind of handle what you put in it. So if you have something that has an astronomical amount of sugar, your body has to work around that to handle it. Mm-hmm. So it shoots your insulin up.
Right.
Your body has to make some things to kind of keep it stabilized. But when it crashes back down, that's when you get super tired.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, I ain't got no energy, so then let me drink an energy
Right.
drink. And then that's not even
Then
real.
the vending machine at 10.
And then the vending, and it's like this process of you going like this all day long, instead of, if you do what you're in theory supposed to do, it'll just go like this. And that's when you feel good. And
Right.
the energy that people talk about, that's what we're talking about, because we're not having those big waves. So if you're watching this and you're tired, you're literally tired, but you're tired of having that like wave of events all day long, it's not that hard to fix,
not.
actually.
And I think that's what I really want to focus on is I always compare spiking your insulin to smoking a cigarette. So if you look at smoking a cigarette, I think it's every 16 minutes after you smoke a cigarette, it's programmed that you need to smoke a cigarette every 16 minutes. That's why there's 20 in a pack. I forget the exact math,
yeah,
but
that
something
makes
like
sense.
that. But so you smoke a cigarette, you get your fix for that amount of time, right? So you're up here, and then it comes down, and then
you need more.
You need it again. Insulin's similar, obviously a longer time frame, but whenever you spike your insulin, it feels great for a few minutes, and then when it crashes hard.
Well, and I forget the name of the hormone, but it actually releases hormones that tells you that when you think you need it again. And that's also, so it's like, it's almost like you're constantly putting yourself in just a state of like,
almost like a deficiency of glucose, but you're really not.
No.
Your body just thinks that it needs more.
I wish I understood the science as well as I understand the feeling of it, right? Because I know exactly. I think the other thing is I know what foods are going to make me feel that way, what aren't going to make me feel that way. And then I can see physically in the mirror, if I eat these certain things and operate this certain way, I get this result. I feel this way. So a lot of mine hasn't been like necessarily because I know the energy systems or the science or any of that. It's been mostly like, hey, if I eat this, I feel this good. But the reality is it's really super simple. And people just, have a hard time following it.
And that's why I always go to not drinking your calories, because you're eliminating processed sugar, whatever.
You shouldn't be drinking anything that has sugar in it.
Right.
It's just the fucking fact.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what they're talking about, I'm telling you, don't drink anything that has sugar in it.
Right.
Just quit it.
Black coffee, water with aminos. Outside of that, I mean, I enjoy a cup of coffee. I'll drink a cup, during the day or whatever, but black coffee.
You shouldn't be touching pop. You shouldn't be touching any of this extra shit. And I would be careful with fucking energy drinks too. Like I just think none of that energy is real. I mean, at the end of the day, it's manufactured.
Right.
So
one thing that people can do is max effort muscle, fat burner, something to keep,
which does have caffeine in it too.
Yes.
So I mean, at the end of the day, that's contributing, but it's also contributing to having like less cravings and things like that. So there's so many supplements that can help you along the process. But I would say square one, back to your original point, is hydration. Yeah. Really, really think like if I walk a mile a day and I just drink a gallon of water, and if I would like to put some aminos in it for max effort muscle, then to help with my hydration.
Because we're too soft to drink just regular water. We need flavor.
Yeah, I got you.
Get that lemonade.
Yeah, the lemonade or sweet tea crushes it. And so it's like that right there alone, if you just do it for a few weeks, you'll feel entirely different. You'll even feel different coming off of when you do go out and drink. Yeah. And if you get up the next day and still operate that way, I'm going to walk, I'm going to drink my gallon of jug. So I think that I would implement a couple very small things, and then over time we can keep checking in and giving you some more things to try, Yeah.
So I had one of my coaches and strategic coach, he was friends with John Wooden. Mm-hmm. And John Wooden and him were talking about a certain ritual every day, and this guy had committed to it. Mm-hmm. And he was going to read 5 pages of a book a day. And he would read 5 pages Monday through Thursday, and then miss Friday, and then 10 on Saturday. Next thing you know, he's not reading at all, right?
Yeah.
It's because it wasn't that daily thing. And John Wooden told him, just commit to one word. You get that book out and only read one word a day, right? Like the water. Yeah. Don't make any other change to start but the water, because we're human. And what's the first thing that we're going to do? We're going to commit to everything. It's going to be, hit and miss after 2 weeks if you make it that far. So commit to just the water and then the next thing.
It's so hard. It's funny because the concept of consistency is actually really simplistic.
Well,
but the execution is so difficult.
Well, think about it. Is it though? It's the priority.
It seems simple to me, but there's still things in my life that I've been attempting to be consistent on, and I can't be.
Right. So every blue collar guy I know is consistent. They consistently
go to work.
They dip. They smoke cigarettes. They drink coffee. They drink alcohol consistently.
True.
Right. So choose your consistency.
I would say that's true.
Everyone has discipline. I'm disciplined to the wrong things. I'm doing the wrong things. I'm consistently doing what's not right.
Point.
And so like whenever someone's like, oh, that's just too hard. No, it's not, because you're 100 pounds overweight. You consistently ate bad to get to the point you're at.
That's a fact.
You ate bad and didn't move. So you can consistently do the opposite.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. It's really just that different perspective, the different side of the coin, right? You're like, wait, I do this on a regular basis. It's just the wrong fucking thing.
It's just the wrong side of the thing.
Well, it's just hard to choose something that's not comfortable, but you're already choosing. Your job is difficult. So, I mean, I think that's where a lot of it comes from, is that, so this other stuff, you want it to be more consoling.
Right.
You want your food, you want your drink.
Right.
And I get it, because
which compounds the difficulty.
It does.
That's
actually the opposite. It's doing the opposite for you of what you think.
It's creating a stressor, not a stress relief.
And
that's the hard part of it.
That's real hard, man, because I remember thinking like, oh, well, you know, I need to relax. I need those beers. It's going to help me sleep. I'm not saying all that doesn't feel that way, but I think it's actually doing the opposite for you.
And it's the timing of the consumption. So
yeah,
if you got to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning during the week, gee, I promise you're not drinking bourbon all night. Right?
No.
You know,
I just
you
know,
might have
like,
a Wednesday night bourbon cigar, but you're already hydrated. You're already in a good state of mind.
I can get away with one, but what's funny that you say that. Even then the doubt creeps in for 1 second. Because for me, because part of when I'm getting up to do something I absolutely love. So very rarely do I question it, because it's just, I really love it that much. But the days that I do question it are that day.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, man? Like, but it's amazing how it takes down your motivation.
It's like a piece of equipment that doesn't have enough grease in it, right?
Yeah, dude.
You just feel kind of achy. You don't really want to start. Your battery's kind of drained.
No, you're right, bro. 100%. That's why, like, every time I want to do that, I go, you know how this is going to work out. Tomorrow you're just not going to feel as good. And, you know, I don't know, like, but if you don't really know the flip side, once you go through a week even of that water, and then you do 2 or 3 days without it, you'll feel the difference.
Yeah. And so
it'll scare you back in the water. And then every process can be like that. You eat 2 or 3 days of meat and vegetables and some fruit, and then you go back to eating fucking ho-hos and shit, and you go, ugh.
I wouldn't even have people go on a strict diet until they're fairly evolved in the consistency
I would
part.
agree.
Whenever people say, hey, what should I do for food? I always say just pack a lunch. I don't care what you eat, pack a lunch.
Just take it with you.
Just that one step, that one word of that book, because
that's also a small win.
If you can consistently pack a lunch, then you can consistently eat the right shit when it's time.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's just not at the beginning. You know, start at the base level, like your water, and then it evolves.
I'll tell you, like, part of my like lunch bucket back in the day was I ate salami and cheese sandwiches, amazing. But I always took canned green beans and canned like fruit.
Yeah.
I thought I was eating healthy because I didn't know any better. Right. Like I didn't really have the resources back then, but it was still like way better than everyone else was eating. And I still had some type of performance. I was young, obviously. I was like 18 or 19, but that's what I did all the time. Because obviously, like, I very rarely had an option to heat something up unless I was on section or
the heater on the front of the dash.
Yeah, exactly.
Or aluminum foil on the battery.
Yeah, they used to have a microwave plugged into the big battery that was up running, you know, where the coal was being mined or whatever. But the reality is, like, I had a sandwich, I had a fruit, and I had a vegetable, and it was actually pretty simple, and it was good.
Right, and cheap.
And that isn't life-changing. Yeah, it's super cheap, bro.
So as much as, you know, the health part of this, you know, is such a benefit, the financial end is massive. People have no idea the financial strain they have on themselves.
Oh, when you're
because of poor decisions day to day.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to the the carry out a lot, you're going to spend way more money than you realize. 100%. And a lot of people aren't really adding it up, but you spend way less money if you just pack a lunch. So I think the pack a lunch and the water is really a great start for a lot of people, Jake, if you break it back down.
And then, you know, from just the overall nutrition standpoint, just don't drink your calories. So easy. It is the simplest.
Those are three like great takeaways from this podcast. Like, don't drink your calories. fucking pack your lunch and drink fucking water.
And
you do those
that
three
is
things,
literally
you're gonna
that
feel
simple.
You're gonna feel shitload better.
Yeah.
And honestly, just that alone, you might drop like 10 or 15 pounds.
So almost
Seriously.
guaranteed, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Without even adding exercise or movement or any of that, just hydrating yourself.
I just said eat a sandwich. Like that is like the anti
Right.
of
That's
my
the
when I hit the
anti-busy
Christ, I would
diet,
say
yeah.
exactly. So it's like, but the reality is it's still probably a better quality than whatever you're buying at the store on the way.
Yeah.
You know?
And I have to, once again, I have to go back to this gallon jug and the simplicity of having this thing, $30. And I promise you that's 1 or 2 gas station stops.
Oh.
And that's it. And I've had this thing, I don't know how many years. I've had it,
Yep.
5 or 6 years. Like I said, it was ran over by a dozer. I cannot tell you how many plastic gallon jugs have been ran over by a truck, a piece of equipment I had when I was out in the field.
Sure.
Where I set it down real quick, someone, runs it over, it gets kicked over.
Yeah.
Get a damn jug.
Yep.
And then like on the road too also. So tips and tricks from the road, you're staying at a Holiday Inn, right? They have breakfast.
Yep.
Take extra eggs with you throughout the day. If you like eggs, like you can take extra
Sausage.
coffee. You can load up on the proteins. Stay away from the bagels and the muffins and all that other bullshit. But load up on the fats. You can eat it throughout the day, at least in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just don't really eat bread. It really doesn't do anything for you.
So finding out that I had a gluten allergy was the best thing that ever happened.
I think
to me.
everyone does.
I'm telling you, like I'm confident in that too,
Bro.
And not only that, like the bloating and just me dialing in a busy diet. My life has changed in the last 4 or 5 weeks since I've done it.
Yeah, you look a lot different, dude.
12 or 15 pounds, whatever, and that was the first 10 or 15 days.
Yep.
And I've had to like figure out how to eat enough.
Yeah.
Because my digestion is so good, my skin feels better.
Oh yeah.
Everything feels better.
Same. Yeah, but bread always just makes me feel inflamed. But here's the problem is, right? It tastes amazing. Everyone loves the consistency of it. Put a bunch of butter on, it's awesome. It's easy, it's cheap. It's with every meal in a lot of houses. I mean, my mom had bread on the table with butter every meal.
So
growing
think about
up.
this from
Every fucking meal.
So
bro.
think about it
every
from
meal.
another angle. When I eat bread, I feel like I got an anchor in my gut.
Yeah, I think
it is a filler,
it's
right?
a filler, yeah.
It's cheap, and it's a cheap filler is all it is.
I mean, that's what my mom was using it for. Oh, there's
100%,
not a ton of meat for everybody.
Right.
So here, have 2
Yeah.
pieces of bread.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just what it is.
Right, but it is a filler with no value.
No value. It has no value.
And
no
it does feel. I've always feel like I have an anchor in my gut.
Yeah.
Like
it
I
doesn't
just feel
process very
like
well.
I feel loaded down, 100%.
No, it's so. I mean, the reality is like I'm not saying like no carbs. I would say you could pretty much eat, a lot of other carbs. If I had to choose potatoes or bread, if you said, Cory, every night, I'm talking white potatoes, I would eat a white potato over eating a piece
100%.
of bread all day long.
Yeah.
I don't, it just feels different.
Well, the processed part of bread
It's got to be what it
there's
is,
something
right?
in there, yeah, whatever.
So it's
additives in
like,
there.
so I don't want you to say like I'm telling you to go on. Everyone knows the Atkins diet or whatever, right? A lot of these older dudes. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying like I would choose a different thing than bread. You'll feel different. You'll feel different.
And for baseline understanding insulin sensitivity, avoid carbs in the morning until you get home at night.
Give yourself some time to be stable,
Just try it.
Yeah.
Like if you have energy crashes throughout the day,
which everyone does.
hydration, no carbs until at night. Right.
I'm telling you, yeah.
After dinner, whether it even be a carb
load
spike
up
or
on your
just on your
load up on your
dinner.
protein in the morning or lunchtime. Drink your water and just see you're gonna feel a lot better. And if you got to add some caffeine, cool, no big deal. And if all these dudes at work say, "Why the fuck ain't you eating?" It's just tell them you don't want your insulin to spike, and then they'll just leave you alone. Be like, that dude's fucking weird. I'm gonna leave him alone.
Because I don't want to feel like you do right now.
Yeah, I don't
That's
want to feel
why.
like I just went to Olive Garden and ate all the free breadsticks and came home. I can't keep my eyes
So
awake.
what was always funny, and looking back, it's comical now. But being at a lunch table, sitting next to other dudes, Mountain Dew, pizza, whatever, right? Going out at night, the choices that you make when you go out to eat are massive, or making the decision not to. And I would get so much help for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you eating that? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Because I don't want to feel like you look.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel that. I feel good what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Why would I want to feel different? Because I felt like that, and I know what it feels like
it's
to be
weird
on this
that
side.
that's the like where you're the outlier to where you're getting ridiculed when you're doing really what's right.
But what is it? It's
hard.
recognition of
it's recognition of discipline that makes people people feel weird. I try to not make that a big talking point. Sometimes you can't get away with it. Try to avoid it. But the reality is, what people got to understand is, look, there's a vanity aspect. I want to look good. You want to look good, right? We want to be fucking yoked up and strong and all that stuff because that's part of what we do. But the reality is, I'm really addicted to how I feel.
The looking good is a side effect of,
it's a side
of the
effect
discipline.
of it.
It really is.
For sure.
And I've had people say, oh, you just care about everyone's opinion. That's why you want to look good. Like, no, actually, I don't care about anybody's opinion. I care about mine.
That's an interesting statement.
Isn't it, though? Like, what would make you think that I'm going to get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning for anyone but myself?
Yeah, I've never thought of that way.
The only reason that I think about anyone else is my family. Mm-hmm. And the only reason that, I wake up when I do is because my family gets a better version of me when I'm disciplined that way.
100%.
If I don't do what I do, then I'm not giving my best self to everybody. Right?
Yeah. Oh, facts. Like I have to have the washing machine of everything that goes on in the morning just to be half normal.
That's the only time we can do it too. Yeah. And I remember
it's guaranteed.
15 years ago or whatever, when we first, kind of started talking, hanging out, training, you're like, yeah, man, I just don't have any silence in my life except for 5 a.m. at that time to 7 a.m.
That's it.
Once 7 a.m. hits, my world is crazy.
Dude, it would jump off and I couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
And it's less like that now because I can compartmentalize a little bit better than I used to. But the reality is it's still that way. So I just know that if I want – so it also is kind of like you have to really look at yourself. Everyone operates a little bit differently, right? My dad was a loner type of guy. So part of it was him not even really probably understanding what he was doing, and part of it was probably a need. Some people just need their time. My son, Alex, is like that. He'll sometimes be like, man, I just need to be home for a couple hours and just be in his room. He's not really doing anything, but he's okay sitting with himself. A lot of people aren't okay with that, but a lot of people do need it. I think everyone does need it. They might just not know it. I have to have it. I have to have it. And so the other thing is I need everyone when they have kids, they have their job, they're getting pulled. You need time to be yourself. And so that's why I always kind of joked. Some people don't really understand the gym. I'm like, the gym's like the country club. Yes. Which is kind of a funny way to explain it because it's the furthest thing from that, but it is like your own iron therapy.
It's the bar, right?
It's the bar, yeah.
It's the bar that you're not going to for the bar that you need to be at.
That's exactly what it is. It's the same thing as the camaraderie that you probably get at the bar potentially after work. I'm getting that in the morning with the homies and lifting.
And it's not taken away from your family.
Yeah, and we're doing difficult things.
Of it.
It is.
Waking up in the morning, it does separate you because you're up before anybody else, right? When people were my family gets out of bed after I have worked out for 2 hours and probably an hour of personal development, right?
Yeah.
I've already separated myself completely.
100%.
And so with that, you have the iron part. Mentally, you're up here, you're engaged, competition.
For sure.
You're getting after it. But then before you start your day, you've exerted yourself mentally at a high competition level, and then you break yourself down a little bit, and then you go right into discipline of learning.
Exactly.
So when you start your day as a businessman, you're dialed into that because you've already been up here.
Feels that way.
Down, and then it's like starting a roller coaster up here, and then just.
I mean, it feels that way, and it feels like it just always has to go through that, or I don't know. I'm just so set in my ways at this point. It all comes down to this is really another point. Like the results you're getting now is a reflection of how you're operating. Yeah. So if you don't like the way you look or feel or, are performing, then you need to address how you're getting there. And then think about these 2 or 3 very small items and then reassess it. It's the same as if you're bidding a job site or you're looking at something and it's not going the way it is. A machine's not working the way it's supposed to. It's really the same assessment. It's just, I think,
not doing the same thing over and over and over.
You just can't do the same thing over and over.
But it has to be subtle. So, in general, you want to make the most impactful change, but the smallest change. Like drinking water.
Yeah.
That is the easiest damn thing you can do, and it has the biggest bang for your buck.
You would think.
We are looking at intense, in-depth changes that we can make.
Yeah.
I want to reverse my age. I want to understand.
Well, that's because now we're in this process for so long.
Right? Yeah. But to start, make the smallest change for the most amount of, reward.
Water
Smallest,
movement.
Water being it. So,
Pack your
I mean, we
lunch.
could go down this rabbit hole.
Well, I just
We
think
will.
like each week or each month we can do that, because I think you'll get feedback on some of the small
There's
things.
so
that
much
you're saying.
value in these small changes, and it drives
Huge.
me crazy that people are unwilling to try.
Well, I think that sometimes it takes the right person to kind of provoke some thought to think, what happens if I do try that?
Yeah.
All right, these dudes both have lived it to some degree for periods of time. They're different now, but the reality is we can identify.
Right.
And we're telling you, no, you should really think about this. So it's not like we're just talking out our ass. So I think that that's like, hopefully, look, I don't pretend to have to do that every day anymore. But I'm telling you, when I did do it, I know these factors would 100. I wish I knew them. Like I was doing some of this on accident, on purpose. But if I would have been intentional, I would have felt completely different. I was a fucking machine anyway.
Yeah.
I would have been a serious machine if
Right.
I'd have thought that, if I'd have known that.
Yeah. But the machine you were at that point, had you not changed, would not be the same as you are now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
like
no.
if you wouldn't evolved, that machine would have
that machine would have
eventually-
broke down.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And understanding that there's always something next, there's always another layer of evolution.
There's always another layer.
But to start, just so simple.
Yeah, I was just listening to a podcast where he said, it was Tom Brady. He said, what did he say? Something is limited, but learning is limitless. I forget what he said. So it's like, the understanding of what's possible and how it can evolve, it's limitless. You can always continue to learn. Somebody might pick up and say, you know what? I need to read more about this insulin stuff.
Yeah.
And then they go, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that to myself?
Oh,
part of it
runs
is
in my family.
Part of it is education,
Right.
dude. I think,
And that's what this is all about: education and
or
awareness.
just sparking some thought. So
Yeah.
then, dude, the resources are everywhere, right? You can go on
Everywhere.
fucking Google and figure out, probably find some smarter shit than we just told you.
Right.
But the reality is that if you're looking for mild changes to feel better and to create, I think, better quality life, they're probably not that far away.
So longevity obviously is there, but being alive, I talk about this quite often. Being alive doesn't mean that you're living. So someone's going to outlive me that's younger than me, right?
Yeah.
But there's not going to be very many people that have a better quality life than I do with the choices that I make.
That's the plan.
If they don't make good choices.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
I might not live to be 90, but I'm going to be alive
Well,
until the day I die, as far as what I'm doing day to day, my intentions, my actions,
For sure.
where I focus at.
Well, there's just some things that they're curveballs. People get sick for no reason sometimes hereditary,
Yeah.
sometimes exposure to stuff. It can be a host of things. So you can do all the things right, still die young because
Right.
of a fucking shitty wild card.
But you're alive during that time.
But you're alive during that time. But the flip side is if you never try, that's definitely going to happen
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
So I always look at, I'd rather put forth the effort with the potential to get maybe a livelihood of 90 or 100. Right. On the flip side, if I never try, then I'm definitely not making it there.
Right.
It just is what it is.
And what you think when you look into your past. Fitness RX, right? You got a cover of a magazine, a fitness magazine with your family on it.
Yeah. They're all grown now too. It's wild.
What is the
seeing
impact of that, right?
Yep.
For you, like from a sentimental standpoint, everything you've ever done to work is worth it because of that one cover. I guarantee that is worth everything you've ever done, and probably one of your highest accomplishments.
Oh yeah, it's best day of my career.
So me having an interview with my oldest daughter before kindergarten, that alone is a good enough reason for this podcast to be here.
There you go.
And if it never goes anywhere, whatever. But that 10-minute interview, it will change my life forever throughout the longevity of it. And the interview with my grandpa.
That's amazing too.
Like absolutely incredible,
Yeah.
So enjoying the past, taking chances, but living that high quality life, the memories that you're going to create are much different.
You get a chance to create more memories because you're able to. And somebody said, Peter Attia, who's a doctor, he said something about you're not really training for right now. So when I say training, meaning you're not implementing these changes for Bob so-and-so 2023. You're really implementing them changes for 2033.
Yes.
So it's you think you're able to do X amount of work and items and snowboard and that right now. but you're not doing anything to contribute to you still being able
100%.
to do that. And that is a huge part.
Just like looking into your past and then looking into your present, and what are the things that happened in your past and how did you apply that to your present? Because all the bad things that happen to everyone has hardships and tragedy in their life. It's what you do with it that really determines your present state.
For sure.
So that Ben Hardy and Ed Milet podcast the other day, right? He talks about
Yeah,
that.
it's very good.
Like what has happened to you in the past really does create your
frames
present.
it.
It does. So if you have a negative experience in your past and you let it be a negative, thought in your head, and you don't learn from it, overcome it, and do something positive become of it.
You got to learn from it. I mean, even just your past of what you ate yesterday. Like, learn from it and not do it again, not repeat it tomorrow. Like, actually tell yourself, I'm not going to repeat the way that I felt. I drank 7 Busch Lights. I ate 3 things from the gas station. Like, everybody knows that's not healthy.
That's exactly.
I don't give a fuck what you say.
Yeah.
You know that's not healthy.
Right.
You might not know nutrition, but you know that ain't fucking getting it done.
So that's exactly where I was going with it. Back to the hydration, back where it all started. So you wake up in the morning, you roll out of bed, you're achy, you're crampy, you got a Charlie horse. Why would you not try the hydration?
Yeah.
The past something that happened to you.
Yeah.
Apply the hydration, put some lemonade aminos in it, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And your present state the next day and the day after that, it's going to be a lot different because of that Charlie horse or whatever that cramp was that kept you up.
The see what happens is what should speak to you, I think, because that's really like, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, because that's the state you need to roll to. Not, I'm not going to feel any better. You don't know that.
Right.
Oh, well, that's not for me. I'm not into that kind of stuff. That's yoga or whatever.
Right.
It's,
Richard Simmons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. The see what happens, the why not, why couldn't I, all of those things are things you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, 100%. So on this episode today, I really want to take away the hydration part.
Yeah.
So from a feel better and a financial state, go get you a damn jug.
Yep.
Go to Max Effort Muscle, get some aminos, save yourself some money, increase your hydration, and your quality of life, if you're not hydrated now, I promise, will be tenfold within a week or so.
Yeah, the challenge, what I would say is, to Jake's point, is get yourself a jug, and for the next make it to 7 days, then the 14, then the 21. It takes 21 days to create a habit. 1 or 2 scoops of aminos in your jug of water. Drink it all day long. Honestly, even if you didn't change the rest of your habits, you still drank a beer every night, you still ate a fucking sandwich, but you just did this, you're still going to feel better. Well, it's just going to happen.
And commit to that and nothing else.
Nothing else.
Yeah. Start with the simplest thing that you can do for the biggest bang for your buck.
You'll feel better.
And I think there's power in understanding what one change can do for your quality of life.
Well, because then you start to think because then it's really addition and subtraction. Like, the reality is, my morning routines and my routines in my life, I've just added and subtracted things, and I would see what the result is. I literally have done my entire life that way. And if I like the result, I keep doing it. And if I don't like the result, I take it away.
Right. Which is going to pave a path for so many people to increase their lifestyle.
It's literally that simple.
When we talk about fitness and wellness and 4 a.m. crew and Max Effort Muscle, we're talking about a broad scale of elite performers, right?
Yeah.
But this
that
is a
extreme
lifestyle that at a base level, if done, is
change.
Massive. It can change generations.
Yeah. You could really, because what happens is, when your kids start seeing you operate that way, their kids start seeing it, and it starts to pass down because people don't do what you tell them, they do what they see. And at the end of the day, that's why with my kids, I will sit down and talk to them when's necessary, but I'm just trying to show them.
A lot of time you don't have to say it because they can see it.
Correct. And I'm seeing patterns that are happening because they saw them. Not because I told them.
Yeah.
And so that's always encouraging, because you hope that happens.
Most of the time your kids don't want to hear what you have to say.
They don't ever want to hear it.
They cannot not see what you're doing.
Well, or when they go somewhere else and they see, wait, that's just normal at my house. You know what I mean? And so, once again, my way of living is not for everybody. I already know that.
Our normal is what we want our kids' normal to be, right?
Correct.
And we don't want it to be the dozen donuts on Saturday morning breakfast.
Nope. I used to be mad because my mom wouldn't let me drink pop every day, because my neighbor or whatever, but then they always had cavities. I ain't never had a fucking cavity.
Same. My
like,
mom would never let me have regular pop.
No.
And I remember like going to my cousins and drinking a Mountain Dew. And I was like, oh man, this shit's great.
Yeah.
And then I would go home the next day and feel lethargic and like complete hell, right?
I can't believe that was such a big deal, but she knew what she was doing somehow.
Yeah. And my mom would let us drink diet, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that was after I was a teenager type.
Yeah.
But up until then, I was like, no, you just don't need it.
So good.
And I'm so thankful for that though, because I know guys that are addicted to pop. And I sit here and think like, first of all, how can you be addicted to pop? But in general, like,
I can't.
How can you drink pop all day?
My stepmom drank. Rest in peace, Bonnie. She's a good lady. She drank 8 to 12 Mountain Dews a day, every day, for probably 20 years. And then my dad, he knew it was bad. He was like, let's replace them with Dasanis, like water, right? She tried to go like half and half, and her body couldn't even operate because she was so used to her insulin being so high. Right. And I remember watching her go through it. She had to go 1-to-1.
Sugar withdrawals like
so she was like
right?
12 Mountain Dews, 1 Dasani.
How could you even drink 12 Mountain
Dews? I know. And then smoke Marlboro Reds on top of it. And then 11 Mountain Dews. And when she got down to like 1 or 2 a day, she felt dramatically better, lost weight, didn't have as much inflammation. I mean, it was eye-opening. And that's when I was pretty young, but I was starting into my business. So I started thinking like, damn, like I don't even know how you even get to that point. But she was a waitress, lifestyle. Yeah. She worked at a truck stop. It was just normal. You know what I mean? So it was like just what it is.
And that's the thing. I want to bring awareness to what normal is.
Yeah.
And a general blue collar unhealthy atmosphere. You know, I've seen it so many times in the field. I still see it or hear about it today. If nothing else, awareness.
Yeah.
You know,
it's awareness. Don't drink 12 Mountain Dews in one water. Well, I used to be like, what's your body running on?
Yeah.
I was all tripped out.
Yeah. All jacked up on Mountain Dew, I guess.
It was like almost like mind bending for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't even imagine. But I appreciate you coming on. G.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Every month we're going to be putting something out.
Yeah.
Let's help change an industry. Let's help get the blue collar nation revitalized a little bit and help them prepare for longevity, to support their family. You know, feel better, look better, move better.
Yeah, last thing
it's nothing but wins, man.
No, last thing I want to say is that you know, my entire family is blue collar driven. So anything I can do to contribute, like a few ideas to help y'all feel better, I understand. Although I don't live it every day anymore, I understand what it takes, how hard it is, and like have the utmost respect for it. So the reality is, if my new skill set can help contribute to you guys feeling better, never think I'm taking anything from you.
Right.
I'm still telling you to drink beer because guess what? I still want to drink beer.
Right?
I feel like I'm as relatable as I can be for my situation of what I do for a living, right? Because I've tried my best to mesh them, but I understand like the amount of discipline and hard work and honestly, as you get older as a laborer, how hard it is on you. Right. You have to look at yourself more like an athlete.
The foundation of what we do is already in that blue collar world, right?
Yeah.
The discipline, waking up early, the discipline.
You're already doing it. You're already doing the really hard shit.
It's already there. This is just going to enhance that.
Well, and the last thing, like in my household, my stepdad, Randy, who got me the job at the coal mine, he doesn't drink or smoke. And he eats, I would say, much better than average person. So he eats okay, but he lifts. So he wasn't like bodybuilder, but he resembled more like us because he had most of the components.
Right.
He ate okay, but he just didn't shoot himself in the foot, meaning he didn't drink alcohol, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink coffee. He does drink some pop, but like he wasn't even all the way on this crazy side.
Right.
He was somewhere in between the middle and was able to withstand wild hours, Jake.
Well, and look at him probably in comparison to his peers at that age, if they're still alive.
He still has a good quality of life. He still lifts weights. He's like,
a lot of
upper
his peers,
60s.
if they're still alive, they have done that for a long time, probably look 20 years older than him.
If they're still alive.
Yes.
That's the thing. So I would say like mild changes consistently, it'll make a big difference.
And in closing, I just want to state this. So you're looking at two jack dudes that are fitness guys, you know, I'm a pipeline guy. Fitness is my hobby, my passion. Max effort muscle is, a part of me and everything else. So I live it to an extreme level. This is not us up here trying to bitch or do anything. We are truly trying to help people that just need a simple change and just a little bit of awareness.
I just want y'all to feel better.
That's it. So this is all about helping. This isn't about criticism. It's not about anything else, except for you people that are too soft to drink regular water. That's a different conversation. That's soft as shit. But, in general, though, these things can make a massive impact on your life. And I promise anyone that implements just a simple hydration will be better because of it.
Yeah,
just
facts.
that one change. One change could put years on your life, the quality, the amount of time.
Less
that you get to spend with
injuries,
your
all
kids.
of it, man.
It's massive. It's
massive. No.
And it's a small little change.
It's good. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah. So I appreciate it, G. Look forward to doing some more.
Easy.
All right. Iron Infrastructure. Drink your water. Get your aminos. MaxEffortMuscle.com. Lemonade, sweet tea's where it's at. We're out.